What's up, YouTube? I have some mid-tier equipment and some premium handmade 308 that makes for some impressive shooting, and I figured I'd talk about it. Let's take a look. So, I enjoy shooting tight groups. I like making precision ammo, one of my biggest hobbies, right? And I really like the 30 caliber bullets. I've shot a lot of 30-06 growing up, and I took a lot of deer with a 30-06. Even now with 30 caliber bullets, 300 Blackout is my homestead workhorse and my home defense setup, which 300 Blackout is a step down from what we're about to talk about with this 308. The rifle I have here is a Bergara B14 HMR with not a lot else. So the breakdown of the rifle: Bergara Omniport muzzle brake with the first focal plane Vortex PST 5x25. The bipod is an old Harris bipod that I bought early 2000 time frame. Actually, it sat on a 30-06 for a while. And a recent range trip gave me the idea to make this video. I'll try to keep it to the point. A fellow reloader asked to borrow my chronograph. Needed to verify his hand loads, and then he invited me to check out his rifle. I went over to see his setup. He had a full custom bolt gun, chassis, a nice setup. Homie clearly had a higher budget than my own with what he was running. Same caliber as mine though, 308. We were both shooting really nice groups. He let me fire off a few rounds out of his rifle, and it was a nice rifle. Very smooth action, extremely light trigger. One thing about that light trigger, I am not the biggest fan, or maybe I'm not used to it. So it's one of those triggers that you touch or breathe on and it pretty much goes off. I'm pretty much a Neanderthal. I mean, a knuckle dragger. I don't need nice, sophisticated stuff. I'm pretty good with out-the-box equipment. At least I try to learn from it, try to train on it, and I know what to expect out of it. When we moved over to the 200-yard line, he was telling me how much he disliked Bergara. And he kind of made it sound like, it's a budget rifle. Also, didn't like the trigger. I know he talked a lot of trash about the trigger, and the action might not be as smooth as a fully custom rig. I'm pretty mid. Everything I got pretty much is pretty mid. I'm mid-grade, right? So I do have some nice stuff. I have some nice triggers, especially in some of my gas guns, but the Bergara out of the box didn't need a whole lot of improvement. I gave it no improvement. It's pretty much like you see from the factory. I just put the scope, rings, the base, and it was good to go. This rifle consistently gives me sub 3/4 inch groups with my hand loads, even out of hunting loads. My hunting load, I believe, is going to be around 7/10 of an inch, maybe 8/10 of an inch, but very good for shooting deer. My other load that I'm using, that's kind of a clone for the M118LR, using 175 grain Sierra Match King. That consistently, I would say, sub half inch. I took the rifle out on a decently windy day, 13 to 25 mile an hour winds. In all honesty, I just sat down, I dialed in for wind and distance, and put the crosshairs on the targets, and just started to shoot. Wind didn't really affect it a whole lot, and also the 175 grain Sierra Match Kings do buck the wind really well. I've got them going about 25-50 feet per second, so pretty decent. They're boogieing. After I dialed everything in, I started shooting directly at the 300-yard line. I did have some warm up with a gas gun that I brought out with me that day. Started shooting and just immediately started hitting steel. video that I showed is shooting at 400 yards. Pretty effective, very effective. I also know, yeah, it's a silhouette target. It's fairly big, so accuracy doesn't really show it all the best. And you have to take my word for it. Shooting at 5 and 600 was just as easy. The video from the 500-yard line wasn't the best. I'm kind of learning how I'm making videos, and me just zooming in with my camera on the 500-yard line steel, and all you pretty much hear is ping and grainy imagery. I know that's not the best. 600, I didn't even hit the record button, so I omitted that. So real quick, the only problems that I've had with this rifle is the action screws came loose. That's one of those things that do happen. I never Loctited the action screws down. And they happened about 200 rounds ago. So fairly recently, within the last 2 trips to the range, tighten them down, a little bit of Loctite, and they're torqued to spec, and just staying solid. Other than that, no other problems. So I'm sure everybody's aware of 175 grain Sierra Match Kings. I don't know how many people are really into reloading like I am. But it's just one of those things that I enjoy doing, like I said before. And it's just works out really well. There's a lot of information on the internet about the 175 grain Sierra Match Kings. There is an overwhelming amount of information. So you can see what other people are loading. This just so happened to be something that worked for me. I did try a lot of different powders. I tried, powders, primers, different brass. So there was a whole lot involved to come up with this particular load. I'm not going to give my exact specs. I will say start around 42 grains, maybe less. 42 grains I would think is safe because that's what you see a lot of and above. So test out what works for you. Test out the length that works for your rifle, your chamber. Don't go off of, me. So, like I said, I'm a knuckle dragger. I do things and it just works out for me well sometimes, right? So, since I'm going to talk about reloading, let me say I am very grateful to Johnny's Reloading Bench, the YouTube channel. I was coming up with this load around the same time he was working on a load for his channel with 175 grain Sierra Match King. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he covers a lot of different cartridges, got a lot of stuff out there, really helpful, and he's also a jarhead, so I'm a little bit biased with that. So one of the groups that I shot on the day that someone was talking smack about my rifle, I shot that beauty. So that was pretty tight. If you look at it, just over 3/8 of an inch, 5 rounds, right? I mean, come on. That's for me, that is actually the best hand load I have made, and it's consistently good. I have shot less than a 1/2 inch at previously, less than a 1/2 inch at 100. I do have a picture of a group that I shot at 125 yards. Equal, you only, I'll put that in here in a little bit, but five shots and I think you can only see 4 holes. So, like I said, I'm really happy with that, and I'm really proud of all the work I put into it to come up with that. 308 is a proven caliber, hunting, precision, shooting, and who am I to try to convince anybody that 308 is awesome, even though it is awesome. I really like 30 calibers, like I said, but 308, really like it. So, like I said, my hand loaded choice is 175 grain Sierra Match King sitting on top of 4064 powder. That particular cartridge that I have there is with CCI large rifle bench rest primer and alpha brass. So the primers were difficult at the time to find, and I was just so lucky enough to get a couple bricks of them. at a decent price before the prices that they are now, which are completely insane, but that's the world we live in. Alpha brass was one of those things too. When I was trying to source brass, I had a hard time finding other companies when I was trying to come up with the hand loads. I found there was some once fired brass that I found and alpha brass, and I bought a few hundred of the alpha brass. Very happy with that decision. Like I said before, I'm proud of this load. It's the most consistently accurate load I have ever put together. The brass, in my opinion, is what makes this load work so well. I've put it in other types of brass, more economical brass, and the groups opened up. So still, sub MOA, sub 3/4 of an inch groups are good, but with alpha brass, it shows me the consistent tight groups that I really like. I'm sure Lapua, Norma, Peterson, any good brass will do the same. I have alpha brass. I have, like I said, several hundred of them, and I'm good with it, and it's worked out really well for me. Also, this is one of those things that I shoot this rifle for precision shots. Not saying I'm a precision shooter, by no means, but I do like to shoot nice tight groups. That hand load right there does it for me. I don't shoot this rifle probably no more than 500 shots a year. Yeah, recently I have been shooting it more. I've been taking it out more. It's one of those, I'm one of those guys who I start working on a project, reloading, and I leave other things that I have off to the side and I get absorbed into it. And then I just came back to 308, and I'm fortunate enough where I still do have primers. I have a lot of bullets, and I have a lot of the 4064, the same lot that I purchased. This powder was purchased probably 5-6 years ago, and $33.98. So I did purchase a pound of it several months back when I saw it, and yeah, I know it costs more than that. Like I said before, I like to shoot tight groups. The Bergara, for me, has been finicky with ammo. I have tried a lot of different stuff. I've tried a lot of different hand loads. I've tried a lot of factory loads, and for the most part, I have been disappointed. Certain ammo, I would like to get my hands on, like some of the Federal Gold Medal match. Don't find a whole lot of it local, so it's one of those things I really don't like to buy online if I don't have to, because I'm one of them weirdos. But I've found some premium match ammo. It shoots okay, or it shoots horribly. I mean, I've shot 4-inch groups at 100 yards with this, and it's just, something makes you think something's wrong. The barrel's garbage or something's up. But then I go back to shooting my pet load there, and all my worries are gone. One thing I have noticed, it does tend to like the heavier ammo. So heavier grain weights, so 165 plus, but even then there's no promise that it's going to be good. I've tried a lot of different projectiles out there, a lot of Hornady stuff. I've got Spear, Nosler, just a lot of different stuff that I've found. And you look around and you start working up all the different loads, and it has been difficult. But I did, like I said before, it favors the heavier stuff, the 165 plus. Had so many extra bullets. I have such a surplus of stuff that I can't find to work that I ended up buying a 300 blackout just to help burn through some of the surplus that I've put together, purge some of it out of stock. For hunting and hand loads, I like the 165 grain Nosler AccuBond. Sub MOA projectile for sure, and it's the only Nosler bullet that I've ever been able to actually have group. I've had a hard time other nozzler projectiles for pistol, for rifle. I've just had a real hard time with nozzler. For the hunting, yeah, 165 grain AccuTips work marvelous. I have harvested a couple deer with it, and yeah, it does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it has a nice, like I said, a nice tight group. Factory ammo, I found the Winchester 180 grain soft points did really well. They grouped really well. Did not shoot a deer with the Winchester, even though I have all confidence that 180 grain soft point will take out a whitetail. I tried a lot of different other ammunition. I think it was Nosler Trophy LR. I can't remember, but I couldn't get it to group to where I would like. I've been told that to take a deer down at 100 yards, all you need is something to land in an 8-inch circle, but that's not me. As far as hunting whitetail with this rifle, with any rifle, I like to be as precise as I can. As far as hunting white-tailed deer with this rifle, overall, heavy with too much magnification for spot and stalk style hunting. If you're going to be in a box blind 18 feet off the ground overlooking a 10-acre apple orchard with shooting lanes 20 to 200 yards, then it's a very easy hunt. That's what I've done in the past with this rig, sitting up in a box blind, and I know some people don't like to do that, but man, it sure did a great job. But if I ever had to shoot a good buck past 400, I'd feel more than confident that I would make a nice, clean, and ethical shot. It shoots great. All in all, it's a great rifle. I'm a person who also will work with what they have and make the best of it. It's not the cheapest, it's nowhere near the most expensive, but it does what it does extremely well. So before wrapping up, I'd like to talk a little bit about the scope. The scope, Viper PST, one of those that it's, again, mid-tier. It's not the most expensive. It's not the cheapest. It does a great job. Dialing it in using a ballistics calculator, knowing your wind, makes it really easy, and it's solid. Didn't have any problems. Christmas tree, the reticle on it is really nice. I know they have more modern reticles out there. It does really well. Just it does what it's supposed to do. So yeah, that's it. Here we go. My second video. Hopefully they're getting better. We'll see how it all goes. See if I continue doing this. I do have a few more ideas. 300 blackout. I know I've done 2 videos on kind of precision shooting. I don't want to call myself a precision shooter. I do like to, like I said, I like to make nice tight little groups. I like to hit targets. Do want to get out there and try some precision shooting competitions. I do have a couple of those by me, but also have, my 300 blackout, for example. The 300 blackout's probably my go-to rifle when I shoot the most, one I do reload for a lot, when I have a lot of confidence in. So shooting it suppressed, all in all, it's a pretty nice gun too. But hey, that's it, YouTube. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Have a good one.